wanna swap
We
signs?
can put this.
Hey, Miss Carol. Miss Carol.
We call them the faithful 50.
Lawrence, how are you?
I'm good.
Are y'all moving
That's
one
true.
ball?
Glad to see you back.
Uh-oh.
I need to move this thing.
Well, move it. It's pointed this way.
Yeah, put it down that way.
I'm gonna put it this way.
Yeah, in front of you. Oh, that's good. That's okay. That's more important to me. Bam. Turn it that way.
Becky's on.
Well,
Ask a lot more questions.
Me?
Yeah. Hey, Miss Carol, how are you?
Fine, how are you?
Doing well.
You know me, I'm always asking something.
There's quite a bit on here tonight. Well, that's the benefit of going there. That's one of the good ones. That's big here. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I figured that.
He was because I think she read hers off.
Those things are
That's fine. I'm just,
I mean,
I like this because I like to keep up with it.
well, true. And it's here when we get here.
He's back
At
on.
the same time, I told her.
Prayers change.
It's a minute shy. I did too to start out. Well, too, if it was something that I thought somebody might ask questions about, I would keep it. But yeah, biggest most of them. Because if I just call central office if I had a question. Well, Chris, my brother-in-law does those things. He just does that. He said, he just does that just beside me and McNeil. Yeah.
All right, good evening. It is 5 o'clock. I'll ask everyone to please stand and we'll get started. Tonight I'm going to ask Mr. Norris Frank to lead us in a word of prayer, and Brandy will follow with a pledge of allegiance. And our flag, if you haven't noticed, is here to my left.
Our most gracious, loving Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the opportunity to come together and conduct the business of our schools. Dear Heavenly Father, we ask for protection of our students and our teachers and our faculty and everybody. Dear Heavenly Father, we pause for this time of the year that just let us realize that it is the birth of our Savior, Jesus Christ. And I ask you to be with us tonight, that everything that we do in this meeting will be to honor and glorify you, and forgive me where I fail you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May be seated. All right, at this time, I'm going to ask Director Kilzer to please call the roll.
Shane Connor,
Here.
Ben Cup,
Here.
Brandy Cherry,
Here.
Becky Hutcherson,
Here.
Norris Frank,
Here.
Kim Scott,
Here.
all present.
All right, all present, so we have a quorum here, so we will officially call our meeting to order tonight. And the first item we need to look at on our agenda is a recommendation to accept the agenda for tonight's meeting.
I make a motion to accept the agenda.
Second.
All right, motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion about the agenda tonight? None? Okay, if there is none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the agenda is set, and that brings us to the consent agenda. As we look over that, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. No discussion comes on that. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, consent agenda is approved. First, we want to welcome the delegation tonight. And I'll have Director Kilzer officially welcome our Tennessee senator from our area. Mr. Page Wally is here this evening.
Well, Senator Paige Wally, like Shane has shared, is our senator who represents us, I think everybody would say very well. You represent Chester County in a very conscientious way. We appreciate your and Terry's presence with us tonight. And as I shared in the board agenda, but just for the congregation in the room to know that Terry was one of our school counselors back in the early 90s. So she was at Chester County High School serving as school counselor. So again, Senator Wally has represented the state as a representative, now as a senator. And of course the 114th General Assembly is gonna start next month, January 7th. 14th, I'm sorry, starting on the 14th, midday. And look forward for his continuation of advocacy for what's best for our students, especially here, but what's better for the greater Chester County. So it's your turn there, Ms. Dr.
Thank you, sir. How, do you want me to use a microphone or to speak, or what works best for you all? Can you folks hear me okay, or?
We can hear you okay.
We can hear you fine.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna roll up just a little more, if that's all right with you all. So, Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Education, Mr. Kilzer, and to the staff, teachers, and students of Chester County, thank you for the privilege of letting me be with you today. I was very eager to come when Mr. Kilzer invited me a few weeks ago, and matter of fact, I was in Nashville this morning and early afternoon. We had something very fascinating I never participated in, which was the Electoral College for the election of the President and Vice President of the United States that every state is going through now. It's required by our Constitution that from the popular vote that we all are familiar with back in November, today was the day the electors officially voted for President and Vice President. And then that will culminate, I believe, in early January in Washington when all the electors' votes will be tabulated. So thank you for letting me be here. I know you probably have some particular things on your mind you'd like to hear about. I thought if you would indulge me, I would talk a little bit about what I see upcoming in our General Assembly, my positions on some of those things, and then I'd be glad to answer any questions that you have or anyone in the audience has. Thank you, first of all, for the privilege of serving as Senator for Chester County. Chester County has been a dear place to me since 1990, when as a much younger man I was elected to serve as state representative. I did that for 10 years until 2000, at which time I left and came back home to work, but Governor Don Sundquist at that time asked me if I'd come back and run our newly established Department of Children's Services, which I actually had sponsored the development and creation of the Department of Children's Services. I'm a clinical psychologist by training and trade, worked for Quinco and with Quinco for years just down the street here, and I got the privilege of running all of the social services for children in the state of Tennessee. Left after 1 year, the governor just had one more year in his term, but was asked to come to Alabama and led all the social services there for several years before coming back home in 2016. So it's wonderful to be here. My wife Terry, who you've heard about, she was here, I think, off and on for about 8 years in the school system between the early 90s and early 2000s. And we have 3 grown children, 4 little grandsons. And so education is particularly important to me. After we've gotten our children educated, now our grandchildren have come up behind. One of our grandchildren has some special needs, so we've been very familiar with the policies and programs that both the Department of Intellectual and Developmental Disability offer, as well as school systems. So that having been said, as we start back in January, and let me tell you this, everyone is always welcome to come to Nashville, come to your capital, see your office, let me and my assistant help set your schedule for you, give you tours, do anything you want to do, see anything you want to see. And it's a wonderful experience. I know we've had Chester County students that have come up and been able to go through the Capitol, take the tour, and watch the legislature in action. Probably what's on most people's minds when it comes to legislation this year, the governor's top priority is his expansion of the existing school voucher program. As you know, there has been a pilot program in place for about 3 years in Shelby County and Davidson County, where there are a multitude of failing schools. And then it was expanded about a year or 2 ago to Hamilton County. So there are only 3 counties out of our 95 that currently have this voucher program. It's a pilot program. I was trained as a scientist in my graduate work. I always understood pilot programs mean they're just proof of concepts. Let's try this, let's see if it works. And if it doesn't work, we haven't subjected everyone to it, And if it does work, we can look at expanding it and offering it to others. Well, this pilot project hasn't worked. At least it hasn't worked yet. There are no data that I've been given that said, as a result of this, these children, are showing academic improvement. Now, the only evidence that will be shown is parental satisfaction, okay? That's not very persuasive to me. You're happy with it, but that doesn't mean the kids are getting a better education and development. So, as you know, last year there was an effort by the governor to supersize this pilot project, make it apply to all 95 counties. I fought that. I did not agree with it. I did not think it was in the best interest of Chester nor our other 7 counties in our Senate district. And I think it was fairly universally the opinion of most of our people in our district that we did not want to have our public schools funding, which already, is tight, to be diverted in any way, shape, or form. We defeated that. The governor has come back with a new proposal. Looks very similar to the other proposal, except now it also has a $2,000 bonus for teachers and faculty, a one-time bonus that feels to me, and these aren't my words, these are other words that people have shared with me, like hush money. This is just something we want to do, and you'll get this if you kind of go along. Now, that might be an unfair way to characterize it, but I've heard that over and over and over again. This year, that proposal it's already out, it's already public. I'm already getting a few emails. I think I've gotten 4 or 5 emails in favor of it. They're cut and paste emails that have come out of, urging from the governors and other proponents' offices, and that's all I've seen of people who are for it. Let me tell you some of the reasons I continue to oppose it, and I'd like to hear your opinions on it. First of all, it's just what I mentioned to you. It hasn't been proven it works. Secondly, where it exists in other states, it has almost bankrupted Arizona as it's expanded. It has, really not shown the outcomes that I think that we would want to see if someone had this opportunity to go elsewhere. It is not, you've heard the term parental choice, that parents can choose where their kids go to school. That's foolish. You don't choose which school your kids are going to go to. The school can choose you, or it's more like a relationship. I might want to come here, but you might, Mr. Kilzer might say, I don't want your behavior problem kid here. Now, if he can shoot a 3-pointer, maybe so. But it's up to schools to decide what students to admit and not admit. It's not up to parents to say, well, I'm just going to put my kid in that school or that school. That's not how it works in real life, and it wouldn't work like that now. One of the interesting things I've learned as well is, I just learned this part today, which I thought fascinating. I was sitting next to a colleague from Shelby County this morning at the Electoral College convening. He said that he has, in his district, 4 public schools and 11 private schools. We don't have 11 private schools in our 8 counties. He has 4 in his district, 11 in his district. But he said, none of them take the vouchers. Christian Brothers, MUS, St. Mary's, some of these fine schools that we all have heard about, they won't take them. They won't take them for a couple of reasons. Number one, they don't want to hand over any reins to our State Department of Education to direct them in what they should and shouldn't do. They will accept applications from any student regardless of ability to pay, and then they have endowments that they could scholarship some of these kids if they thought they were worthy students to be admitted to their school. They don't take these vouchers, and they're not going to. Same thing in Nashville, University School of Nashville. I'm going to find out in Chattanooga about the schools there, McCallie, Baylor. I called my Senate colleague, Ed Jackson, who represents Madison County, and asked him about USJ, JCS, Trinity. He's not sure, but he said he'll find out for you. My suspicion is they don't. Fayette County is in our district. We have 3 private schools in Fayette County. None of them have expressed any interest in this either, because again, one of the things they have liked is their academic independence. And with money comes expectations and strings attached. So I'm not sure that even if you wanted to go to some of these schools, they would accept that. I don't want to see our public schools have their funding diverted. And we've heard in this legislation that, well, there's a hold harmless clause. Well, Chester County, let's say, loses 10 students next year to some private school. They're saying that, well, for the next year, you'd get the funding as if those 10 students were there. But it's not that straightforward. The TISA funding increases every year anyway. You wouldn't get the increases necessarily for that. You'd get, you know, it's a gobbledygook explanation for me when they say you won't be hurt. Let's say you lost those 10 students. Maybe for a year they supplement them. The next year, if you lose 5 more students and there's a total of 15, you might only get funding for 5 of the 15, because the first 10 you got a little bit for a year. So there's all of this complexity to it to me. I also am just a real believer that what we need to be focusing on is relieving our public schools of a lot of the bureaucracy that's been imposed on you, the amount of testing, the amount of, you know, a variety of other demands that the State Department of Education has placed on you. And Kirk Hasten wanted to do this last year. Now, he had a bill that did that, but it also was related to the, you know, the vouchers. It was kind of, you know, you get relief and you get the vouchers. Well, he has agreed with me this year, we could just present a bill that just relieves public schools of some of the bureaucratic, you know, heavy-handedness. That's what I want to do. We know that we need to enrich our schools. The public schools were designed to develop good citizens. Chester County does that. Not all of our schools do it. And I think that we ought to play out these pilot projects in Shelby County. I really do, because that's a whole different, you know, beast down there. But to divert resources from what you're trying to do here somewhere else, it makes no sense to me. I haven't detected any will from, you know, other than 3 or 4 people. I'm not even sure they have kids in the school system to do it. One of the interesting things too is this is not, one of the things I've discovered, this isn't being proposed because it works. It's being proposed because of ideology. Shouldn't parents get to decide where their kids go to school? Aren't parents the best decision makers when it comes to their child's education? That sounds good, doesn't it? And when you hear about polls that support vouchers, it's based on asking questions like that. And you know, polls are meaningless unless you understand how the questions were structured. I don't care who you voted for in the most recent presidential election, but you know, like 2 days before the election in the state of Iowa, a poll came out that said Vice President Harris would win Iowa by 7 to 10 points. She lost it by like 15. You know, polling is just, you do informal polls all the time. You ask people their opinion. And if you ask it a certain way, you'll get a certain answer, and I think that's what's happened. Something that I found really intriguing was the morning after the presidential election, I stayed up till about 2:30, probably like a lot of you all watching. I had to be up about 5:30 to drive to Louisville, Kentucky for a meeting with my regular work. The state of Kentucky had on their ballot a referendum on should the legislature be authorized to divert public funds for private education, giving it to parents. A lot of the people that had proposed it thought this was going to be a slam dunk. It lost in every single county in Kentucky. Democrat, Republican, rural, urban, whatever, and however you want to cut it, it lost. There were some counties that voted, 90% for President Trump, President-elect Trump, but voted against this by 65%. Ideologically, people understand we don't want our public schools harmed. They are the glue that holds a lot of our communities together. They're developing our young people. They are the ones that are helping resource our business and industry. We don't want that infringed upon. So, I told the governor's office, they came and asked me to meet with them and talk about if I could support this, and I said, not the way it looks now. No. I said, now, you do these things, you really hold people harmless, you really relieve schools of all this burden you placed on them with the bureaucracy that we've created in our Department of Education. You make these vouchers where they are payment in full at these schools, and you take a $7,000 voucher and try to get into a Memphis University school where they probably charge you $20,000, it doesn't go far. You make it where they can't reject or eject you. They can't return kids to the public school when they bomb out at these schools. Then we can talk. Well, guess what? They haven't gotten back to me. So I continue to take the position of believing it's not in our best interest. Now, let me tell you that the governor and some of his allies are putting on, this is his kind of legacy issue. I don't understand why. He's a great man who's done a wonderful job in so many areas. This is an area where I really believe he, is not going down the most prudent path. I think there's a lot of other things we ought to be doing with education rather than this. So, one of my friends, I talked to him on the way home today, a fellow senator, and he said, "Oh my gosh, I'm just getting worn out with this stuff from the governor's office and everybody. What about you?" I said, "I haven't gotten any calls." They kind of know where I stand, so I sleep just fine, and I feel just fine about my position as well. So, with that, that is the biggest issue that you're going to be hearing about as we start on the 14th of January. It shouldn't be, it won't be the only one, but it'll be one of the ones that grabs some of the larger headlines. So, there's so many other things I'd like to see us do to support our public schools and our faculty and our staff and our students. We've done some wonderful things. I know the starting salary is going to be, has been stair-stepped up. I know there's a lot of other resources. I know we have school resource officers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We can and we should do that and more. And you'll continue to see me advocate and fight for that. But unless something dramatically changes, and I'm not seeing it, this is not something I'm comfortable with, thinking it's best for Fayette and Haywood and Hardeman and Chester and McNairy and Hardin and Wayne and Lawrence counties. Those are the 8 counties that comprise our district. Chester County is a wonderful school system. I've got a couple of counties that they struggle. Fayette and Haywood struggle. But this isn't going to fix their struggle. So, I'll stop with that. And I can talk about other issues that I'm interested in and whatnot, but I don't think that's what you want to spend your evening doing. You're, our Board of Education, and I think you probably want to hear more about the education topic. So, I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you have some perspectives that maybe I'm off on how I'm looking at this. You're professional educators. I'm not. I've been teaching university class for about 12 years at University of Alabama, Birmingham, distance learning, but I'm not a K through 12 person, so you're the experts. So tell me what you think.
Thank you for supporting public schools, because, they're just so important.
Well, in
Not
small town living, a public school system is like you mentioned, the glue that holds a lot together in that
Right.
town. Right. And we're fortunate to live in Chester County, but if you if you outsource those vouchers, it's gonna destroy, just like the small stores that used to be on every corner. I mean, they bring in so much government and so much force to make everything bigger and go around the picture of use common sense and keep it simple. I mean, everybody in this room that I know is my age or older was educated at a public school system, and most of them seem to be doing all right.
You're well said.
Senator,
Yes, sir.
why is the governor so set on this?
You know-
And I mean, he's not got anything to back it up,
Right.
but it sounds like he's just,
You know, I think a lot of this is political pressure that comes from outside sources. If you look at the recent election cycle, there were outside, big moneyed sources that poured money into Tennessee to try to promote candidates who supported this or beat candidates who didn't. Now, they didn't do great. Matter of fact, the number one supporter of this, the one that sponsored this bill last year in our Senate, got beaten. Others, you know, a few won, a few lost to the governor, and the proponents didn't really win any new votes to help their numbers much. I think, I'll be honest with you, I just think it is some kind of, and I consider myself, you know, a conservative, pragmatic thinker, you know. And I think that some people are this mentality that parents should be able to choose where the kids go to school somehow is a philosophy. They think, well, that just sounds like common sense. Let's let people do that. But you don't consider, what does that mean and what are the consequences? Now, I will say this, and I probably wouldn't want to repeat it. I think most parents have a wonderful idea of where their kids need to go to school, help with their education. But I know a lot of parents too that don't, that won't, and you know them too. You know, that are not committed to their child's education. We develop public education in America to help create good citizens and inform folks on our nation and our Constitution and our, you know, how to pledge allegiance to the flag and how to, you know, develop skills that would make us productive citizens and keep America thriving. And I don't see, I see so many problems with this, and I don't know why that he is just so committed, other than it's just a personal philosophy, which I don't understand. I don't. So I wish I could tell you more, but it's just, it has nothing to do with it works. It has everything to do with it sounds like it should work.
Yeah.
But there's no proof in that, and that brings me back to where I started. We've got this pilot project. Let's see if it works. You're not going to know after 2 or 3 years, and we sure don't know after 2 or 3 years, but when we see in other states, it causes me some real heartburn. Again, I'll use Arizona. You know, you'll hear, well, this is only applying to, you know, what, 20,000 students, and well, it won't the next year. And it won't the next year, and it just, once you get, that happens, and it'll start ratcheting up, and there'll be more. The other thing is, in other states, what I've seen is, it's not so much the public school students that take advantage of this, as some of the places where the kids are already in private school. And the parents, and you and I would do the same thing, say, well, what, I can get a voucher and lower my, you know, obligation by $7,000 to the school. You know, that sounds okay, but that's not right, and that's not the way to go about it to me. So, anyway, I don't have a good explanation. One thing I would ask you all to consider doing, and I mentioned this to Mr. Kilzer, it would be helpful if you all thought about some kind of a email campaign, and I don't mean campaign, everybody has to do it, but just writing your legislators, myself, Representative Haston, even the governor's office, and say, here's our belief. You know, it might be something that Mr. Kilzer, he's been very eloquent. He wrote a letter to the governor. I'm sure he shared it with you all, that might want to, you know, borrow generously from that and cut and paste. But I think people need to hear from the folks that are against it too, not just that are for it. I hear it because I come out and listen. I don't think a lot of people do. I don't think a lot of people do. And you don't have to limit it just to sending it to Kirk Hasten and me. You can send it to every legislator if you wanted to. But I'm, you know, if I get other people's mail, I delete it, but, but I'd be glad to answer other questions for you, anything you'd like me to.
So there was rumor of a special session for this. Is that still a possibility?
There is a rumor that we might have a special session, and what a special session does, it is only a very brief amount of time, like a week. It's limited to a topic, like the voucher. That's all you can discuss. But you don't call a special session unless you really think you can succeed with it. You know, it's not one that you call just to see, let's see what people are thinking. It's kind of one of those things that, you know, the verdict's in and we just have to go through the process to get there. They're not the votes to pass this right now, as I understand it, on the House of Representatives side. And on our Senate side, we have 33 members of the Senate. So to pass something in the Senate takes 17 votes. They may have that, 17, 18 in that neighborhood, but it's just barely there if it's there. And a lot of people say I'm for it until they have to make the public, you know, vote and say I'm for it. It's easy to say I'm for it until you've got to stand up and do it. The House of Representatives, they don't have the votes to have a special session yet. They're still working. That's why the arm twisting is going on and the cajoling and the sweetening and the this and the that. So, yes, there's a rumor. There could be. So far, it's not. If there was a special session, it probably would be right at the beginning of our, before we even started the regular session, right when we were supposed to start, we'd start that instead. Spend a week, get it. A lot of people want to do it because they're fatigued with this. They want to just get it out of the way. You know, and some people are getting ground down that are opponents. They say, okay, I give. It's like having your arm twisted behind you. I don't feel that way. I can vote no in a special session. I can vote no in a regular session. And that's how I would vote if I had to do it today.
So if they did a special session, Senator, it would go to committee? Because there's nothing to negotiate now because both of the bills are unified,
Right.
correct?
It would still go to committee, but it would
Okay.
be a committee. It would be committees that would be appointed for the special session. That's another
Okay.
kind of intriguing thing is they might be different education, composed of different education committee members than they would do in a regular session,
Okay.
just to try to have the proponents more, you know, in line there. But my guess is we won't have a special session, it'll be in a regular session. I hope it is, because that will, I think that just bodes well for those of us who are opponents, that it doesn't have the support, and I don't know that it'll gain it, you know, as we go into a regular session.
Well, just as you mentioned and Ben also echoed, Chester County School District is one of the leading employers in Chester County.
Right.
It would have a dramatic effect. Right now, we have over 350 students who are not attending public schools. As that continues to publicize, market that, like you're saying, parents should have the choice and give them that ideology of saying that's a better way of saying it or doing it. That just diminishes the resources that our school district receives to be able to continue to have a vibrant school district that continues to employ locally and prepare our students for their futures.
Right. You know, in that regard, I think it's so important to continue to let your voices be heard loudly, and with Kirk in particular, Representative Haston, he's a professional educator. You know, he is kind of right in the middle of all this. He's trying to, you know, find a sweet spot to work with the governor, and yet he knows it's not best for Perry County schools in the long run. That's why he had all this other reform-minded proposals within that bill. I think he's about ready to say, let's just do that separate, though, with me. Let's do that separate. But I think continue to, you know, share your thoughts with him and get his thoughts. He's a great guy, an honorable fella. He's in a tough spot, you know, because he is an educator and he is on the House Education Committee. I'm not on the Education Committee in the Senate. I'm on the Finance Committee, which is where it ultimately goes to. And it didn't have the votes to pass in finance last year if it would have made it that far. Or maybe it would have won, but I'm not sure of that. What's the famous expression Mike Tyson has? Everybody has a plan until they get hit in the mouth. You ever heard that? I think everybody says they're gonna vote for it till they really have to, take a hard vote on it. And then they might get a little squeamish about doing something they know is probably not in the overall best interest of the state. I'm glad to communicate with y'all. I'm an easy guy to find. You can call my office, you can call me on my cell phone, which I answer myself. I'm through here every week or so, and can visit with you. You can see everything, by the way, on our Tennessee General Assembly website. You can see every bill run up. You can watch every hearing. You can see every amendment, all of it. So nothing is going to be done secretively. So you can see it, you can weigh in, you can email any and every legislator. All the email addresses are there, phone numbers for offices are there. So please be comfortable taking advantage of that. Are there any other questions or topics you'd like to talk about or hear about? Mr. Kilzer, the only other thing I've heard about with schools recently was some folks being upset about the new reclassification of TSSAA on some of these, like golf and these, other sports. But other than that, I haven't heard a whole lot going on.
Yeah, I'm kind of out of that loop, so I don't pay attention as close as I should.
Gotcha. Well, I'm, anything else, I'd be glad to stand here all night if you want me to. Y'all like that, wouldn't you?
Well, we thank you for your representation, and thank you for your position in supporting our views. Yes.
My pleasure, and congratulations on a, wonderful school system. Thank you for your service, and, this isn't easy being school board members. It's easier, I think, here than in some of our unusual districts around the state of Tennessee, but Chester County is a special place, as you know. Congratulations on a great football season. I got to follow that.
Yes.
Y'all did a good job.
Yeah.
Anything you need from me, I hope you'll reach out to me and let me know, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry
Thank you very
Christmas.
much.
Thank you, sir.
Terry and I are gonna excuse ourselves, and we live in Savannah. I lived in Bolivar for years, but we live in Savannah now. Our oldest son, Blake, who played Dixie U baseball here, he is the city manager in Savannah. And he and his wife have 2 of our 4 grandkids, and so we moved over to be close to them about 2.5 years ago. So we're gonna head back down there. I'm assuming Snookums isn't open tonight, so I'll find something to eat somewhere else, all right?
Sure.
All right, thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank
you,
sir. Thank you, Terry.
Thank y'all.
All right, next we have a couple celebrations we want to recognize tonight, and the first is we have a new principal in our school system, and she is with us tonight. Congratulations to Amanda Brassfield, who's just been named our new principal at East Chester. And Mr. Kilzer, you want to further recognition?
Yeah, it was a late entry into your board agenda, but we're very fortunate to have Ms. Brassfield to assume this role. And Ms. Brassfield, do you have anything you want to share with the board real quick?
I'm excited. Thank you all. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Well, I've had,
Shoes to fill.
yeah, well, and yes, and of course, a good long legacy of good education that goes on at East Chester, surrounded by quality staff and everybody that has solicited a conversation with me, not me asking their opinion, but soliciting the conversation with me, says they're glad that Amanda is going to be the leader. So it's been positive support for her.
Thank you for stepping up to that role.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And another celebration tonight, and this is kind of I know, a carryover from it was on our agenda a few months ago, but Mary Bates is here, and Mia McNeil. Of course, we celebrate our Family Resource Center and Coordinated School Health Program. They are assets to our school system, and I want to ask you guys to come and share with us information about how that supports our students and families.
kiddos here, as y'all can see. This is our student health council students.
There you go. No.
Some of them have already presented before for our leadership tester, but, these ones are presenting today.
Do they want to introduce themselves, Miss Mia?
Sure.
I'm Emily Perez, and I've been in student health council for 2 years now.
I'm Marcus Krim, and I've also been in student health council for 2 years.
I'm Addie Parker, and I've been in student health council for 1 year.
I'm Sadie Horton, and I've been in student health council for 1 year.
I'm Brooklyn Burton, and I've been in student health council for 2 years.
I'm Mia McNeil, and I'm the coordinated school health director. As you can see, I'm the director, and this is Teresa Barker, and she is our assistant. This is my information. Our office has moved, of course, from Eagles Edge to the high school. We're in room West 14. If you ever want to come see me, come on by. And then my phone number and email. So coordinated school health comprises of 8 components. We have health education, physical education and activity, health services, nutrition, healthy school environment, school counseling, psychological and social services, student, family, and community involvement, and staff wellness. So we'll start off with health education. So this is structured health education consists of any combination of planned learning experiences that provide an opportunity to acquire information and skills students need to make quality health decisions. This would be like our lifetime wellness classes. So Mr. McPherson and Mr. Robertson in the high school, they teach the lifetime wellness, and then Mr. Scott Wilbanks teaches it at junior high. We also have PE or physical education, and we've got our PE teachers listed up there. This is planned sequential pre-K through 12th grade curriculum that follows national standards in providing developmentally appropriate learning experiences in a variety of physical activities. So this is what has a curriculum to it. We also have physical activity. Any teacher can do physical activity. So this is recess, this is your 10, 15 minutes where they get to go outside and play. This is in the class, this is when they get to do brain breaks in the class. That's physical activity. So sometimes people get it confused, but that's the difference in that. We have health services. Health services is mainly comprised of our nurses. It's supervised by school health nurses to appraise, protect, and promote the health of students. These services include assessment, planning, coordination of services, and direct care for all children, including those with special needs. So we have listed our school nurses. This also includes health screenings. So coordinated school health does health screenings. We have listed on the left side one of our high school nurses doing some of our health screenings. And on the right side, we have our TCAT, one of our TCAT nurses who was in our formal program last year who helps with our health screenings. Okay, we have nutrition services. Ms. Stephanie Lawler is our nutrition supervisor. Our nutrition services assure access to a variety of nutritious and affordable meals in schools that accommodate the health and nutrition needs of all students. Our nutrition guidelines reflect the USDA guidelines. Okay, this is one that a lot of people forget about, which is healthy school environment. It is the component that relates to the quality of the physical and aesthetic surroundings, the psychosocial climate, which is like the portrait of the eagle, the safety and the culture of the school, the school safety and emergency plans, and the periodic review of testing of factors and conditions that influence the environment. And Mr. Brandon Tolley is over our safety and facilities. Next is our social counseling, psychological and social services. This is school counseling, mental health, social services that are provided to assess and improve the mental, emotional, and social health of every student. These services include group guidance counseling, like in the elementary schools where the whole class goes in. But it also includes, like at the high school, we have Miss Monica, our liaison, who has one-on-one therapy sessions. So that is all included. And one of my favorite ones is school staff wellness. So teachers and other school employees are charged with educating and caring for one of our most precious assets, which is our students. So therefore, we have to give back to our teachers, making sure our teachers are okay, making sure our staff members are okay, making sure they want to come to school, make sure they want to do their job. This year, we focused in on Eastchester. It's sort of kind of like like he was talking about pilot, that's sort of like our pilot. So it's not as broad with the whole district. We're trying to see what works, how we can get participation, which challenges the teachers like the most, and it's worked well so far. We did a flu pod in September, which was district-wide. Anyone could come get a flu shot from, we set up at the high school, but it was for the whole district. And in November, we did a healthy selfie challenge, and these are our healthy selfie winners. So what they had to do was take a picture of themselves doing something healthy, or there was a spin wheel in the break room, they could spin it, and whatever it said on the wheel, they had to do. So if it said, eat a piece of fruit, they ate a banana today, take a selfie, sent it over, and they had a chance to win.
The lady in the upper left may have cheated, I don't know.
I don't know, I think she was drinking some water or something. I think that was her challenge.
Inside out.
Okay. We gave out $75 in gift cards, and then the overall winner won the 2-basket Ninja air fryer.
Sandy.
So it's really nice what we try to do for our teachers.
That was easy for
I think they
her,
were
she's
fighting,
healthy.
they were fighting over that nothing.
The involvement of students, parents, community representatives like you, health specialists, and volunteers in schools provide an integrated approach to enhancing the health and well-being of students, both at school and in the community. School health advisory councils, coalition, and broadly based constituencies for school health can build support for school health programs. Our community partners are FHU, SWSA, CCHD, CC Chamber, RAP, TSPN, Quinco, CC 911 Dispatch, TBI, and TCAP.
So as you can see, I've posted these pictures because I try to get pictures of all the people we work with, but sometimes it's hard. We've partnered with the health department, with the nurses, and one of the pictures is the dental hygienist and the public health educator. 911 Dispatch, you probably wonder, why would we partner with them? We have SROs, we have Handle with Care program. They have helped us also with our Christmas sponsored students, so we get help from them a lot. The chamber, we had some students present at the with the leadership program, and then we also do a service project with the chamber. TSPN, or Tennessee Suicide Prevention Network, they came into the junior high, Miss Emily came in. RAP, we have them coming in for Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month and talking about healthy relationships within the school. We partner with TCAT. Like I said before, they do health screenings, so we're trying to get as many partners as we can. We're trying to up it every year, so if anybody y'all know want to work with us, just let me know. All right, Student Health Council.
This year we have a total of 21 students, 4 advisors, and a university volunteer. Students Keisha Allen, Brooklyn Burton, Isis Green, Colin Craig, Hayden Dawkins, Jeremiah Gardner, Sadie Horton, Rihanna Huddleston, Deslin Ingram, Lakeisha Taylor, Gentry White, Emily Perez, Addie Parker, Juju Prather, Melissa Rivers, Jakaya Simpson, Jacoria Simpson, Addison Stanley, Claire Summers, Jerome Thomas, Ada Wilk. Our advisors are Mia McNeil, Teresa Barker, Danielle McKinney, Maury Bates, and Naomi Perez.
And I wanted her to list out those names because I'm sure you've seen them tons of times. These kids are athletes. These kids go to church. These kids are scholars. They do a million things. You can literally see how they're dressed today. They're going to the ball game tonight. So I really am so proud of this group because it's very diverse and we have a lot of kids who always want to do something.
This year we've done a lot, and we started off the year in June, and a lot of us were able to attend Tennessee Teen Institute. And then we followed that up in August by getting to interview to be in Student Health Council. And then in September, we were able to do Suicide Prevention Month at the junior high and at the high school. And then in October, we had Bullying Prevention and Unity Day, that was both at the junior high and at the high school. We had our homecoming, Red Ribbon Week, which was the middle school, the junior high, and the high school. And then we ended out that month with the Pink Out, and the football team was able to help us with that. And then in November, we did Novec November, and we had Student Health Council bonding and leadership meeting, and some of us were able to present to the leadership Chester. And then we've had several service project opportunities, and that includes the barbecue festival, where some of us were able to dress up as princesses or superheroes, and some of the members in Student Health Council helped with Southwest Regional Board meeting, and that was our Christmas service project.
Alright, as you can see, we have tons of pictures, which we try to share on our Facebook page. But my thing, I know a lot of y'all are Christians, but we want to have our kids serving. We want to give back. So the one in the middle with all those toys, that was probably one of the things I'm most proud of. We had, 50 items per 2 students, per each kid. So that was 100 items that our kids have collected. And that was their money. They brought in presents. So that just made me so happy. Because, I don't know, I'm just always happy about it.
Next semester, we plan on doing the hygiene drive, random acts of kindness, mental health fair, children dental health month, National Nutrition Month, future TTI leadership, quit week, healthy relationships, kindness bracelet swap, COVID fair, stress awareness month, and positive affirmations.
And that's all in the semester. We got a lot going on.
TCI is an incredible summer camp experience that brings together young people from all over Tennessee, creating a unique opportunity to make lasting friendships and learn valuable life lessons in a fun and supportive environment. Whether you're participating in team-building activities, outdoor adventures, or engaging in leadership workshops, TTI encourages personal growth and fosters a sense of community. It's a place where campers not only form connections with others from different backgrounds and areas of the state, but also develop essential skills like communication, teamwork, and resilience. TTI isn't just a camp, it's a chance to create memories, learn important life lessons, and build friendships that will last long after summer ends.
TTI is an amazing summer camp. One thing it strives to do is create leadership for these students. A lot of things that we have done and we will continue to do came from their plans from TTI. The kids made the plans and they are now coming back to the school and bringing them back. They get to go to different sessions to hear different speakers every day of TTI. It's Sunday to Friday. They have 2 speakers a day plus professional development, basically 3 of those each day. So that's hearing 5 different speakers every single day for Sunday through Friday. So I think TTI is amazing, and we're hoping to send a team again this year.
This year, we're excited to give back to our schools by organizing the hygiene drive. Our goal is to collect hygiene products and provide them to school counselors to create hygiene baskets. These baskets will be available to support students in need, promoting health and well-being across our school community. We invite everyone to participate in the meaningful initiative by contributing to hygiene items to help make a positive impact.
So this was one of their projects that they decided to do at TTI, and they brought it back to the schools. They want to, again, give back to our schools, to our counselors, to give back to students. Students who may be in need, students who may not understand how to control their hygiene, and just whoever may need it. They may not have deodorant that day. They may not have what they need. So we just want to give back to the schools.
I want to thank y'all.
And I think that was our kiddos are gonna head on out because they got to go to the game.
Now, didn't you say that the health screenings, didn't you have something to brag on that you got?
Oh, sorry, yes. Our health screenings. Our data got sent to the state. We were the first in Tennessee, all 95 counties, to turn them in and turn them in correct on the first try.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
It's a win, Doug. It's a win, man.
Is anything on that sheet?
I don't think so. No. Thank y'all, good job.
Thank you.
Now Mary's gonna, Is this Maury or Mary?
It's gonna be Maury.
Okay, I heard it.
I had a newsletter, were you able to send that?
If you look on your agenda, it's on the start of page 3. She added the quarterly newsletter. It's linked there, so if you have not had a chance to open it, you can refer
I
to it.
have a hard copy too, if anybody would like that. So, I'm Mary Bates, and I'm the director of the Chester County Schools Family Resource Center. And I'm gonna just go over real quick what we do. So the mission of the Family Resource Center is to connect students and families to resources that they may need to overcome challenges that they're facing. Our services are free and they're available to all of the Chester County students and staff and their families. Through our grant with Second Harvest for the school pantry, we are able to provide healthy and shelf-stable meal items. And that's just an example of some of the items that are in the pantry bags that we give out. We also have a blessing box right outside my office. It is open to the public and it is stocked by donations made from members of the community. Then we also have a weekend food program called the Hope Project. We partner with Freed-Hardeman University for this project. We provide food to students who may not have enough food at home over the weekend. We also have a uniform closet for students and staff for their clothing needs. These clothes are available through donations made from the community and the Gleaners House. We also get a lot of school supply donations, and these supplies are available to all of our students and any classroom that might need some additional supplies throughout the district. So far this year, the school pantry has served 74 families. That's not including anything from December, that's just through November. The uniform closet has served a total of 73 students and 50 families. And our weekend food program has served a monthly average of 128 students throughout the district. For Thanksgiving this year, we partnered with Next Level Church and First Baptist Church to provide meals for Thanksgiving. And we were able to provide for 33 students and their families. Last year, the Family Resource Center launched a program to help provide Christmas presents for students that might not otherwise receive anything for Christmas. Last year we had 22 sponsors and we were able to provide for 32 students. This year, we have 40 sponsors, and those include 32 staff members, 4 community partners, the FFA, the Student Health Council, the National English Honor Society, and Grace Baptist Church. And with the help from all of these individuals and organizations, we are able to provide Christmas presents for 50 Chester County students who would more than likely not have gotten anything otherwise. So I'm super excited about that. And then if anybody is interested in helping, those are some ways that you can do so. Any questions?
Awesome.
Thank you.
Great work.
Yep.
Thank y'all.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
move on with our business portion of the meeting. A lot of good things to celebrate tonight, but let's move into the next portion. There was an item for public comment. No one has signed up to comment on anything on the agenda tonight, which is what that portion of the agenda is set aside for. So we'll move into the business, which our first is a recommendation to the board to accept this list of seniors to represent early finishers or completers or gifted students. That list was attached to your board agenda, and I'll have Mr. Kilser address that for any questions or further explanation.
Well, as we started last year, as we began to identify those students who are working above and beyond the expectation of just meeting their requirements for graduation, they're doing it in faster time, and also including dual enrollment classes, not only with our local university, Jackson State, but also with TCAT, Crump and Jackson and other universities. They were able to, again, accelerate their learning, their opportunities for advancement of career options. And the attention last year, if you had the list to compare last year, there were a few less seniors who had actually completed all of their requirements for graduation. The list, again, identifies 3 different groups of children or high schoolers. The first group of 16 are those who have completed all graduation requirements and are scheduled to graduate with the graduation date of December the 20th. Now, for funding purposes, which I know that's not the only reason we do this, but for funding purposes, the state does allow us to continue to count these students throughout the rest of the year. So there's no funding shortfall for these students if they complete early. They'll participate in graduation in May, but these have completed all their requirements and will be showing a graduation rate as effective of December the 20th. The next group of kids, students, seniors, have met all their graduation requirements but are still enrolled in additional coursework, which is a great thing to see, where you're seeing for those guys and girls who are advancing their own education, getting closer to the finish line even for higher ed coursework completion, or in some cases, as I look at the list with you, are participate in practicum studies, like a couple of them with hospitality tourism, and then some other activities where they are advancing their clinical experiences, getting to count those hours and that coursework, again, hopefully to advance their career options. And then the third largest list are students who are still yet to complete all the graduation requirements, but have satisfied that ready graduate classification requirement. And in those students, due to other activities and other opportunities, they will be completing less than 5 course credits for the remainder of this school year to afford them more opportunities to do other things, which could include attending colleges, attending work studies, attending work-based learning. In those cases and all of that, based on the way that policy 4.605, I couldn't remember because of that, we require or request the board to consider them as gifted students, which is what we did last year, and then that allowed them to have the flexibility with this senior second semester to be able to participate in these other activities. I'll say on behalf of Chester County High School, we talked about it earlier today in a district leadership meeting. This is such a heavier lift than when I was an administrator at the high school. There's so much more going on, so many more opportunities beyond. It's no longer the concept that just get out and get your diploma. They're having so many more opportunities to advance beyond that in some cases students are completing their TCAT programs of study, getting an associate degree with Freed-Hardeman University before they're handed the diploma. So there's so many more opportunities for the students to advance, and we have partnerships with many of the local universities, not just with Freed-Hardeman, but also, like I said, college with Jackson State, also with University of Tennessee at Martin, and others that have maybe 1 or 2 students grabbing a hold of something out there that they feel like would advance their career preparation. and the high school has stepped up and allowed them to be able to have those opportunities. So our ready graduate listing has increased since they started identifying that. We've always significantly exceeded the state minimum or the state average. The first year it was identified, we were in the 74% range as far as ready graduate, where the state was around 40-something%. It's almost 30 to 40 points lower. Most recently, we're plus 90. I mean, that's an accomplishment with the work that's being done, not only with the administration that's here with us, but also with all the teachers that participate, school counselors that make those things happen. So we just ask the board to continue to grant this opportunity. These seniors are not just going home to sleep longer in the day and just roll over. Some of you already know what because Ben, Brandy, Becky, y'all had a senior on this list last year. So, you know, the advancement, the opportunities just begin to get them closer to the career goals at a younger age for our benefit.
That list is in your packet. Is there a motion to approve this list of seniors to represent the early finishers, or again classified as gifted students?
I'll make a motion to approve the list.
Second.
All right, motion is made and seconded. Any other discussion or questions about that? If none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, the list is approved. Final actual business item is exactly what Senator Wiley was referring to. We have a couple of recommendations to consider approving some resolutions to send to the 114th General Assembly before they convene in January. One is about TISA funding for preschoolers with disabilities, and the other does actually address the public funds to support public schools and to share our board position with those who will be making those decisions. You want to add anything to that?
Well, and again, both of those resolutions were included in your packet. The distinction with the first resolution, our state has done a very good job of funding for voluntary pre-K. But preschoolers, when we're talking about that role, it's still at the Eastchester, but these are for the students who are identified for IEPs. They're identified with special needs. In addition to having those 3- and 4-year-old children discovered in our district, our community, identified so they can be educated. But you also have to have at least 50+% of their non-special needs peers to also be present to be able to mainstream in a more of inclusive classroom setting. Again, in the agenda or in the resolution, it reflects that the state affords us approximately $35,000 roughly to fund that. It costs over $230,000+ to fund it the way it's operating. And this is happening across the state. The confusion that our state government had last year and previous years, they thought we were asking for more money for voluntary pre-K. It's not. This is for TISA funding for the preschool programs. Totally different. So I think that there's an initiative across the state. I think it's going to be a hot topic for our legislators to consider. When we talk about our numbers as far as our average daily membership, you're not including your preschoolers. So there's going to have to be some identification for us to continue to do what's mandated from us or for us by the federal government and the state. We need to have funding to get it done. But right now it's close to being an unfunded mandate. So that's what I've asked in that first resolution for your approval to support.
And $35,000 is the amount.
$35,000 is what the federal government / the state allows us to have to manage something that cost over $200,000 more.
Shortfall.
Yes.
Mainly because they don't understand what it's going
I think that was the case at first, because the argument that I heard from leaders in the state government, well, we fund voluntary pre-K.
So they think the special ed preschool,
They thought it was the same thing.
right.
Exactly.
Well, it's not.
It's not.
It's
not.
not.
And then you see the public's, the funds, many of the bullet points are exactly what Senator Wiley brought
Correct.
out tonight.
Correct.
So,
Well, and I would add one other thing there that, and of course, again, included in yours is the unified bill, the House Bill 0001. That's the bill legislation for this upcoming legislative cycle. It's in there. The thing that is, it's stipulated in the language, but you've got to be careful as what you read, you don't infer it means something else. Senator Wally said it. Currently, somebody who's receiving funding to go to private school right now can be entitled to this same money. They can use that money if you look at the criteria that allows them to use it. Let's just say that Ben wanted his younger son, who's going to JCS, USJ, wherever, to get extra baseball pitching lessons. I can use that $75,000 or $7,000 for that, because I can justify it by saying it's tutoring for his needs. So there's such diversity in the meaning with that you got to be careful. Now, I'm unsure. Senator mentioned Arizona, and we have heard from those in Arizona. I'm unsure if Arizona's issues would be realized here in Tennessee, because Tennessee has reminded to me that Tennessee state law requires a balanced budget. The shortfall Arizona's having, I don't know if they have that same stipulation. So that may be a hindrance for it growing much further. But again, the only way this can be funded the way that they want it to be funded, it has to take public dollars away from public schools. There is no way possible that they can continue to fund us at our current rate, because it's all related to how many students are going. And as I mentioned, have lost 350 plus students to non-public schools right now. That's roughly, it's a little bit over $3 million that we are not receiving if those students were here. And that's district-wide, so it doesn't require us to spend capital projects to build another campus. They can be included in what we currently have. So we're literally working with less than $3 million less than what we could have if they were attending us. And the way the marketing has gone, that's the letter that I sent to the governor, the impact that our rural school district would have with that, if that continues to market it as is. And just like the senator said, I appreciate his comments that it's more ideological. There's the opinion that if you really love your kids and you have a conservative Christian position, then you should have homeschool or you should go private school. Homeschools are not funded by this. It's only the private schools. So it's a special niche that can utilize those scholarship dollars.
You see both resolutions in your packet. Does anyone have any opposition to approving them with one motion?
No.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve both resolutions to the General Assembly?
I'll make a motion to approve them.
Okay.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? All right, they'll be drafted and sent. There is a signature.
Yeah, and I've got them already
Yeah.
copied,
Yeah.
the signature page. Before you folks leave, I'm gonna go get that after this meeting adjourns, and we'll sign those. And what I'll do is make a hard copy of the resolution with the page, and then we'll scan them and send them to everybody.
Final portion of the meeting tonight is just updates, and always have Mr. Kills share any that he feels that are needed, and the board to ask any questions on any projects that they may have on their mind. So start with Mr. Kilser.
Well, as we've realized some of the capital projects that have been occurring, of course, it's a little bit too muddy, but the project at the Ag and Auto Shop space looks different than that now. I've driven by, but I've not gone in because they're working diligently, but you can see the hallway structure with the interior construction of the building. I look forward to being able to get out there more, but I noticed also that they're already starting some insulation over part of the actual roof line where they're going to put in the metal sheeting for the roof. But again, as it says here, they're still aiming for, right now, mid-February of 2025, having that building ready. We picked out colors. That's just a matter of time, but they're really working at it. I would say that they've had a pretty decent crew at that location working through the whole time. And also the excitement of seeing that multi-purpose grow leaps and bounds as far as position. as I shared with some of you, Zach Malone's crew is the one actually doing the steel construction of the framing. One of our former students and local resident, and they're really coming up well with it. Again, these pictures don't do it justice to what it looks like now, but look forward to seeing that. Now, there is a later date. I mentioned it last month that it would be probably early April instead of early March that it will be completed. Nathaniel Provencio was finishing up today with his second round of visits at the school. He was at the high school today. I was able to join Mr. Murley with a couple of the groups that he met with. We're making good progress with that PLC culture. It's, you know, again, the effort is to continue to grow in our interdependency with teachers working as collective teams, where we are all committed to see the students learning at high levels. So a lot of information there. That initial hyperlink with his name actually is connected to a YouTube where he was presenting to Hardin County Schools at their countywide in-service. So again, he's a very dynamic character. He engages the folks in conversation and is able to, I think, and he has shared to me, sees progress at every campus. We're growing toward that.
Anything else from you?
If anybody's got a question,
Any questions from the board that, or anything needs to be addressed? All right. See if there is none, I'll just remind you that the next board meeting is January 14th at Eastchester Elementary School, and it will be at 5 o'clock. And if there's no other business to come for the board tonight, we will declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Very good.
If anyone has children or family that wants to go to Gaylord to ICE, I have a stack of free tickets they sent me.
There she is.
Let me know.
What is it?
ICE at Gaylord.
Oh.
Anyway.